I used to think way back then that it was just, it's my problem, it's me, but I'm blowing up everybody in my atmosphere.
Hey everyone, today I'm joined now by MMA legend and former UFC champ Mark Kerr. His story was first told in the iconic documentary The Smash Machine, and now it's being brought to theaters everywhere on October 3rd. Mark, thank you so much for the time.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Now, before we get into the movie, I have to ask, what was the first thing that came through your mind when you found out that your story is being brought to the Hollywood big screen?
Disbelief, right? Like, just not really just like, come on, really, like, come on. And as everything started to unfold, I'm like, oh man, this thing actually might actually get made into a movie. So disbelief was the first one, and then it was like this sense of humility, and then it turned into gratitude. It's not a feeling anymore, it's a frequency. Like that frequency, like I'm like phasing.
Well, I can see the excitement just you talking about it. I got a chance to see the movie yesterday. Incredible piece. This movie, it shows a lot of pain and glory side by side, right? So I want to ask, which side sticks with you longer? The pain of what you went through, or the glory of everything you accomplished?
Oh, for me, a lot of the pain stuck with me. It's taken me a minute to get to where I am. When I walked away from fighting, and I had a lot of my identity tied up in it. I didn't understand the statement that I've heard people make of like, it's what I did, it's not who I am, right? And it took me a while to separate myself out from that, to realize that fighting's what I did. Who I am is much more than that. So it's taken me a minute to get to this space where I can actually, realize that and really embrace a lot of different things in my life.
Now, when you look back, what do you think was tougher, the fights in the ring or the battles you had to deal with outside of it?
Man, you know what? I could almost fight every weekend if I had to. I really could, but facing a lot of those, because they were internal and it manifested itself as external because of all the unrest in me. It affected everybody around me, and the chaos in me affected everybody around me. It's disruptive when you have an addiction. It disrupts every part of your life. And I used to think way back then that it was just, it's my problem, it's me, but I'm blowing up everybody in my atmosphere, right? And, that's a big pill to swallow for me. That's a big thing to swallow for me, is like, taking, first for me, taking the responsibility and going, yes, it does affect everybody in my life. So some of that pain and some of that residual part stayed with me. And, it's one where it's like, thankfully, I'm on the other side of it.
And, so much of this story is about control, right? Controlling the fight, controlling the addiction, controlling your own narrative. Where do you feel the most control in your life right now?
It's so for me, it's just control over my actions and thoughts, right? It's really having, when I talk to somebody, I try to have a really concentrated effort to be able to be present with them, because then I'm present with my thoughts and feelings, and I have intention, and that intention allows me to connect to somebody, right? And that's one of the important things for me. I said in this phase of my life, the important things for me is, I said, I want close, personal, intimate relationships with people. And I figured out most of my life, I've been looking for that connection, that connection to another human being.
Well, you mentioned connection, so let's dive into that a bit further. You got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, your story. What's that connection been like? How's that dynamic been?
Oh my gosh, yeah. You know what? He's. So I said, if I told him this, I said, if I was writing a script for a human being, I wouldn't have the language to describe you as a human being, because you exceed anything I've ever expected. Like genuinely, he's, you could be in a room full of 1,000 people and he would make you feel like it's just you and him in the room. He has this deliberate intention, and, it's this beautiful person behind all of that. He's just a genuine, I wish everybody can get to know him, because he really is just a genuinely giving, kind, sincere, thoughtful, intentional human being. And it's just been a privilege to get to know him and Emily and Benny. And I feel truly blessed, man.
And final question for you, at the end of the day, when people go see this movie, and for people who want to know who Mark Kerr is, what do you want them to take away from this film and know a little bit about Mark Kerr, the man, at this point in time?
It's part of what I was, I've been in recovery for a minute now. And, part of part of what held me captive is shame, right? The shame of it. And just, understanding that life is hard, man. Life is hard. It's going to throw you buckets of shit at, sometimes 10 buckets at a time. And, your ability to get through those moments and get to the other side of it, that's what life is about. Life is having the fortitude and the resilience. And, it's part of what, it's like I just keep churning in my life and churning and moving forward. And, it turns out that, this is a miracle, everything that's happened, but it's one of those where it's like, if I was a regular Joe and I had this resilience, it didn't matter what happened in life. I was going to get to the other side of it. And I think that's one of the things when they look at it is just, where I am today is I'm a result of just this resilience of life, of just keep moving forward no matter how hard it is. It's one of those beautiful things, where I'd never be here if I never tried.